I am Kevin Hooper. I've been a Dutch judge, actually a Dutch breeder since 1975. So I started when a lot of you guys were starting off. And been with Dutch ever since. Never took a break. And we'll show you a few things today. And a lot of these things I'm going to mention pertain to not only the Dutch, but other breeds as well. We do want to see body type, but the Dutch is a compact breed. Most of your breeds, when it comes to the body style, obviously compact commercial is what we're referring to, they're all primarily the same type thing. You want to see width equaling the depth of these animals. So if you have an animal that's 8 inches tall, you want them to be about 8 inches wide. When you're looking at these animals, however, on a Dutch, we want to see what's called a Cavy animal. And Cavy in the Dutch refers to short, stocky, thick-set animal. And on some of these animals, we see that, yes, it's a compact body, but we want to see more than just that. When you're talking type, you look up the definition of type, and it comes into breed character. So breed character, type, is different than body type. Body type is simply your body shape. But when you're dealing with the breed type, it's the characteristics that set that breed apart from everything else. Because for the most part, you could take a Florida White up here and put markings on it, and it still doesn't make a Dutch. Very, very different in what we're looking for. Yes, we want to still see good full shoulders, we want to see roundness, we want to see fullness to the table, but we want to see other things on that animal as well. And if you look at this animal, and I've brought two of them up here, I think they're going to be a pretty good contrast. We want to see ears that are short and stocky, thick, well-furred. We want to see roundness to the head. This animal is fantastic from here back. She's got the roundness, she's got the depth, she's got the fullness all the way to the table. But what she doesn't have is that look at the Dutch we have in the face. You see basically the size of the head that you're looking at there. You look at the muzzle on this animal. You look at the ears. And we'll contrast again. She's got substance to the ears, but the shape's not quite there. So we want to see these things to make this Dutch a Dutch. Dutch is a breed of circles. You basically want to see roundness, fullness through the shoulder, midsection, and hindquarter. But all these markings on here are all primarily composed of circles. If you can picture just basically a round ball and putting two circles on it, that's all we're doing with the head of this animal. You're basically taking a circle here, and going to put it right onto this preferably round head. I'll grab a different animal, kind of gives you a little better idea. Here's an animal with a lot better head, a lot better ear on this little guy. Beautiful body, but what we're looking for here is, again, that roundness. You get a round head with those cheeks on there. It's going to basically form two circles that really, ideally, don't even touch. You take them, put them side to side, and ideally there's a hairline separating those two circles, running right between the ears, forming a V behind the neck and rolling down around. But if you see the difference here, look at the ears on this animal and the substance and shape to those. I'm going to get that other one back out in a moment. Come here, buddy. If you look at these ear tips, I like the substance. Look at the bend at the tops of these ears. Look at they'll fold right over, right there in the middle. Shouldn't be able to do this. A lot of the breeds out there that we're judging now, commercial, compact, doesn't matter. You're seeing that. Why? Because people don't pay attention to the ears. It's only 5 points, it's only 2 points. What do we care? We want to see a good body. However, those breeds, to really be a breed, you got to pay attention to all those little features. You look at this animal, you're not folding that ear over. But as you can see, just in how that animal's lying right through here, and see that bend when you get to the top of the ears, it folds right under. Shouldn't be able to do that. And again, New Zealand's are that way. I see it on Californians. We need to pay attention to the ears on all these breeds. But primarily, in the Dutch, that's a big thing that sets them apart. Look at the difference in the muzzle on these animals, right through the face. Notice how that one has that narrow look to it. That's what we want to try to avoid. Again, we want the nice round body to them, but we want to see that thick substance and that thick set look. Other big features that I look for on a Dutch. Obviously we want short. This animal kind of typifies what we're looking for in Cavy. He's short, he's round, he's thick, and you notice I'm not doing anything to him. This is his body, that's what I want to see. All I do is kind of shadow that head, my thumb or my finger goes against the front of the shoulder just so they don't move. But we're not doing anything to make them deeper, make them rounder. I want to see what this rabbit looks like on his own. Yeah, I can do this, all of a sudden he becomes rounder, but that's not him. None of the breeds are that way. I'm a purist on these things. I want to see these animals, you sit them on the table, you put their feet where they should be, and you want to see what they look like. Because it shouldn't be up to me, and this gets a little off topic, but it shouldn't be up to me as a judge to make this rabbit look better than it is. So it's up to the rabbit. Good rabbits show themselves, and if you put them on the table and you stand back, you kind of put them in position, you kind of ease up and look, that's what you got. Long term, you're much better off to do that because when you go out to the barn, you don't have to do anything to them. You get them out, you sit them there, look good when you put them on the table. Now, when you turn these animals over, notice the back legs. Notice how thick set they are. They're short, toes are curled. On the Dutch, a lot of times, what you'll see these animals when you turn them over, and they'll completely straighten those toes out. Well, we're dealing with stop markings on a Dutch. It should be a third of the way back. That's usually an inch to an inch and a quarter back from the front of those toes. If all of a sudden you take those toes that are curled and straighten them out, your stop marking's that much longer. That's usually a good indicator when you see those short little feet of a good sign of bone on the animals. We want to see that thick set foot on the front. We want to see that short foot on the back of the animal. And then you turn them over and you still see those toes when you're checking the stops, just like so. You're still seeing those toes stay curled. That's the look we're wanting to see on that animal. But you're still keeping that short, close set body the whole time on the animal is what you're looking for. Now, again, keep bringing these two out because there's some good differences between them. Again, both good rabbits in them of themselves. This doe is a super body to her. She's getting a little tired now. I pulled her in and out of there so many times. But what you're looking at is, again, very nice animal, but you're going to cut it heavily on the head. We're supposed to have a round head on these guys. And you look at that animal, she's narrowed through the head. Yes, we got a little cheek marking issue down there, but she's done really well. Because everybody says, ooh, look at the body, look at the coat, look at the color, that's her. However, again, when we're looking for the very, very best, we have to look at that head. Now, drop back. When we're talking markings on these animals, this is a marked breed. This is the only marked breed out there that, yes, we have to have balance markings, but we have a set pattern on this breed. It's not just, hey, we got to have equal number of spots on these sides that kind of look like they're similar. We have an exact pattern on these guys. Saddle marking on this little buck, I'm going to turn him up and show you. This is what's called a bias saddle. We want to see this straight across the animal. That is his real marking fault on this animal. It's a minor cut. You see it, unfortunately, it's on the top of the animal, so you have to see it all the time. But what we're looking at is you want that basically sitting right behind the shoulders. So we have our shoulders right here on this animal. Saddle starts off pretty good here. It just drifts back when it comes to this side. The blaze, if you can again picture those two cheeks coming together, two circles that almost touch, that's what's going to form the blaze coming right at the center of the head. Ideally, they have a little white hairline that goes through where those circles don't quite touch into a V behind the neck. The way you check that neck is simply like this. You hold it up and you look. If it forms a V, that's what you're looking for. The cheek markings, and this animal has really good cheeks. If you look at the side view of this guy, you can see it's pretty round all the way through both sides. Now, if you turn this animal over at the same time, notice how it doesn't look quite as round right now? See how it almost inverts and goes back that way. Well, a round cheek will do that just because of the head shape and the way it goes. Because again, those cheeks are round. About as good as you're going to get on one of them, but you're going to see it kind of dish back towards the top, towards the eye a little bit when you turn them over. Don't confuse that with a high cheek. High cheek would be when that line's coming up above that whisker bed quite a bit. So those are good cheeks is what we're looking at. You look at the undercut on the animal. Undercut's where the saddle marking goes underneath the rabbit. Should form a straight circle right behind those elbows. And then you look at stop marking. Again, your stops a third of the way back. The right one's pretty much ideal length, slightly diagonal. Left one's pretty much ideal length with just a little bit of a drag into the toe. Just the color starting to run towards the toe. Now, I'm going to touch just a little bit on color on a couple of these animals. This is a tortoise Dutch. And as you see, most other breeds do not have this color of tortoise in their breeds. All the lops go with a rusty type of a tort, a smutty, darker colored tort. We go with a bright orange across our top. That's what we're looking for with a smoky blue shading. What is smoky blue? Well, in my opinion, it's kind of a bluish gray. It's kind of like what you'd see from a car driving down the road that's burning too much oil. You get that smoke color. We want to see that across the head, coming up on the whisker bed, across the cheeks, and then down somewhat on the haunches and on the sides of this animal. That's where you're going to see the shading. But we want to see that bright orange top color on these animals. Now again on this animal, this is one of our blues. We want a medium slate blue. Now, most of us as breeders push for as dark as we can possibly get them. Some people say, well, you're not supposed to be going for dark because it calls for medium blue. The reason why I push for dark is it's easy to get them to lose that color. So if they're automatically going to lose it, I'm not going to start for medium color, and then they lose some of that color and it goes lighter then. If I want to go as dark as I can, because usually they're going to lose it through genetics, they lose some of that intensity, it gives us more of the medium blue shade we're looking for. There. Here's a guy I brought along. Now, this guy's not in shape right now. It's just a younger black buck. What I wanted to show on him, and the difference on him is, look at the coat length difference on this one. And even considering that one I just had up here. If you're looking at the coat length on that, that's probably close to an inch on this guy. Whereas this one's maybe 3/4, and that tort's probably even shorter. But notice the difference on the markings on these rabbits with that difference in coat length. Look how clean and sharp these markings are versus this animal with that longer coat. You don't get that jump right there. Yeah, you see them, but they aren't nice and clean and sharp where it's just like boom, it just jumps out at you. You'll see this in the cage racing ducks. You walk down and one of them with a short coat that's well marked, I mean, it just catches your eye and you look as it just jumps right out. We want to see that short coat on them as much as possible. See that real tight coat to the pelt with a flyback coat, but it just makes those markings stand out that much more. Here's another good animal example too of this guy on cheeks. Also, pretty ideal set of cheeks. Round as could be, got the good head, got the bold eye. I didn't mention that earlier, I probably should mention that. It's no points for a bold eye. However, you get an animal like that with a good bold eye, good head on it, you're going to see that animal, it's going to be noticeable on the table. First impressions count when you're showing rabbits and when you're judging. If I see a rabbit that looks attractive and it just catches my eye right away, guess what? I'm going to pay attention more to that rabbit because I want to see what the rest of it looks like. So we want to see that bold eye to him, that thick ear. Again, nice Cavy example of an animal. The thing I fault him for is that length of coat isn't nice and tight like we'd like to see. One thing I should mention too on the torts, and I apologize, kind of think bouncing around a little bit here. Tail color. Torts are notorious for having light tails. You want to see tail color on the bottom. This guy's ideal in tail color, pretty much the exact same color as his shadings. You'll get light tails on a lot of these torts. Some people, in some breeds, there are disqualifications for a white tail in torts. It's rare if we get to the point of having a white tail in a Dutch. It might be light, but if you literally look up and start comparing it to the actual white fur color on the rabbit, usually you can tell if it's actually a light tail or a white tail. But it's pretty rare if you ever get to that point on them. Again, that's a nice little flyback coat, but again, look at the length of the coat and how those markings jump out versus that little black we had out here. Questions? I'd like to have you guys participate a little bit if I could. Kind of lead me into a few more things too. Questions, comments, input? Well, seeing none, I appreciate everybody coming this morning. If you have any questions, be around here a little while to talk.